from the Zoom, which is using an API, to YouTube. And it's setting up that connection. Perfect. All right, that's working just fabulous. Okay. So my goal today is to talk about artificial intelligence with you, to talk a little bit about our project and what's going on with our project. And I'll end a bit early, so a number of groups wanted to meet with me. I'm more than happy to see what's happening with your groups and if I can give you any feedback on that. On Wednesday, we'll have a more advanced setting here, and I'll maybe have Daniel give you a little, maybe Daniel give him a little preview of kind of like what's to come on their project. And we can talk about VAPI as well and look at VAPI as well. Okay? Questions, let me know. Okay? So I'm going to share my screen. Can everybody see my screen? Perfect. And let me take my edit off so I know what you see is what I see. So basically, for our last assignment, we were on Wednesday looking at our audit assignment. You had artificial intelligence, and I asked you to look at some additional vendors: Amazon, AWS, Amazon Web Services. What is a cloud? What are examples? And Azure, Microsoft, the benefits, and explaining public, private, and hybrid, and as a service. And then I gave you these articles that are due this Wednesday on AI, on machine learning, and data mining and deep learning, the subfields of AI, and how generative AI works. These were areas that I asked you to do. And for Wednesday, I've also asked you to look at the phone voice AI agent assignment. So in order to look at the phone voice agent assignment, let me look at again, VAPI.ai. Everybody there? Isa, do you see where I'm going? Did you try looking at this yet, Isa?
I know I haven't.
Okay. So this is, the purpose of this is a voice AI agent. And this is for developers. And API stands for what, George? You remember?
Oh, I was on mute. It's application programming interface.
Yes. So basically takes from one program to another, a way in which they can connect. So each program has to allow each other to connect. So the idea of a phone number, you know what a phone number is, right, George? So if I call your number, right, you pick up the phone and we can speak to each other. The idea of AI has language models, different language models. A phone number has to be provisioned, has to be available to be able to think about it as an API, the application program interface of the voice from the phone has to be capable to absorb a language model. So if I called your number, you call my regular number, our numbers right now we cannot attach right now a language model to it. It has to be provisioned for that. So for instance, we talked about it, George, right? The idea of calling 1-800-CHAT-GPT is basically that language model that we use, for instance, on a browser. They've then allowed a version of that language model to be attached to a phone number. And that's what we're going to do for our idea, but instead of ChatGPT, we're going to create our own phone number and attach a model to it. And then what the idea would be, eventually it'd almost be like, George, like, you remember Notebook LM, where you attach your documents to it. So when it created a podcast, it didn't just do it generically on just Gemini, but it did it based on the materials that you gave it. So ideally, what we would want to do for our project is have a phone number that would talk about your business. And when someone would call that number, they would get then that voice AI agent there that would then say, "Hi, I'm George. What did you guys decide to do? What kind of application, George, for your project?"
We were between the two. I believe it's the wealth management one.
The wealth management. So it would be, "Hi, I'm George from Wealth Management Company. Let me hear about you as a lead generation. Tell me about," he could even ask those questions like, how much are you investing? Are you a high risk, low risk? You almost could ask different questions. It could respond. And then ideally, what I foresee, then it could take in all the services you provide. So when they ask you, "Oh, what can you do for us?" Right? You could tell them the services that you could do. And then when they would ask a question, "Well, I'm not sure, can you create maybe a way in which you could forecast stocks for me?" And then they say, "Well, I would want it not to hallucinate, but rather come back and say, I don't know the answer, but let me get someone on the line that can help. It could join our conversation." And it would reach out to, for instance, George, contact you. And what I would foresee is it would join our conversation, George. You would join the conversation and speak to, let's say, me that's calling with your agent. And then when you explain, we're not really forecasting, but what we can do is recommend maybe a portfolio that's low risk for you, or maybe I see that you're young and you want to take more risk. We may recommend that we're going to be using some crypto or something like that, whatever it was. And then based on the age, I see that you're between 20 and 30. This is what we recommend. But we still have to talk to you. And then what I would want is your insights, your knowledge then would go into the AI bot document. And the next time somebody between 20 and 30 would call, then they would get already your knowledge. That's what I foresee. Whether it will work or not, at least we get the beginning to see, hey, how did ChatGPT get that number of 1-800-CHAT-GPT? And my goal here would be for you folks to try to pick a number of numbers and to see, based on that dial ABC, if you could get a number that could spell something that could also be like a vanity number. And each of you do this in your group, and then you'd get together in your group and choose what was the best number. And you would then attach it to your website. Just like you have your Wix site, you would have this and say, "Call our vanity number." That would tell you. And then it could possibly be, if you were, we can do it for you as well. You could possibly make that as a service. One of your services, show them, hey, we can make you voice AI agents as well. And if you look at these voice AI agents, everybody see this? When I go to features, notice what's nice here. It could be multilingual. So it talk to agents in English, Spanish, Mandarin, API native, which means that everything is exposed as an API, meaning it can connect. Automated testing, design test suites as simulated voice agents to identify what's the problem with a lot of this AI is hallucination risk. What do we mean, Presley? Have you ever heard of that? Hallucinations by AI?
No, I haven't
Okay. So
before.
Daniel, what do you think can be how can we explain what hallucination and there to identify hallucination risk before going into production?
Sure. I mean, hallucinations with AI is just when the model spits out something that isn't true. This is generally because the training data is not always true, or maybe a previous chat in the history has coaxed it to believe something or to want to spit something out that isn't true based on your own prompts. So in the next article you'll read next week, you'll see one of the best ways to get around that is for the company developing the AI or the people training the AI to make it very clear that things should be based in truth and to not have like a bias that comes from the user prompts. Did Professor just pause on your end as well?
Yeah.
Yeah. Guess that means I'll take over. But yeah, hallucinations. I'm sure everyone here has used ChatGPT quite a lot. I'm sure you're familiar with that. Um, let's see. Well, I guess in the meantime, does anyone have questions about the VAPI assignment? Some of you guys have done it already. Others have not. Oh, oh, Professor's back. Maybe. Professor, are you there? All right. Well, do you guys have any questions? I can pull up VAPI as well. Oh, there you are, Professor.
Yeah, go ahead. Can you?
There's two of you guys. There's
It's good. I'm a digital.
I'm just scrolling down to where it said that.
Where it said, are you showing your?
I'm about to, yeah. So yeah, I mean, we talked about it's multilingual. Of course, there's access to different languages, and AI is not trained to learn any of these languages. There's just data that it has, and it's able to put it together and kind of figure that part out. Yeah, there's the automated testing. You can identify the hallucinations and then put in further prompts within your system prompts to prevent those. And as AI models get better, there will be less hallucinations. That's something in the last year that's been greatly improved. There's tool calling in VAPI. So you can, use different programs that already exist and integrate it. I mean, ideally, they're trying to make a user who is as close to a human as possible on the other end. Yeah, you can bring your own modules or models, I should say. And that's one of the optional parts of the VAPI assignment. I'm sure some of you have seen that already. where you can sign up with Google to have your own API link. And that way you can use a different model. Now, some models cost more than others, so each person or each company would want to pick whichever one is most cost effective and also the best quality. You'll see we have an assignment with another company called Fastbots, and they'll probably give us these premium codes, which will allow you to try multiple different models, some of which are more paid. Once again, I'm sure you experienced this if you used ChatGPT before. There's all the different models. Some of them you have caps on based on your subscriptions. Others are pretty much infinite. And then A/B experiments, you can test different prompts and see which ones make the outputs better, make the agents better. When they say this 99.9% uptime, I kind of question that. That there was a little downtime over the weekend. I don't know if any of you tried to do the assignment, you saw that. But certainly it would be nice if that was the case. And this sub 500 millisecond latency, that sounds good on paper. That's not the best. It does sound like a little bit longer, at least in my usage. And it depends which model you're using and which API you have connected. But ideally, if the latency is much less, it'll sound more like a human, which is extraordinarily important. You don't want people sitting on the phone and there's just silence. Yeah, we talked about the guardrails. This is saying it's
This is, can
HIPAA.
I interrupt? You hear me?
Yes, we can
This
hear you.
important that if you
We could hear. Yeah. Let's see, is there anything else important here? Yes, not really. I mean, to break it all down, it's an application that allows you to connect all the different models that it has available there with your own API key. And it will let you link a phone number to it and let you talk to the different AI models with a custom system prompt. That's everything it does. It's simple, and nice that it's free. Hopefully it'll be useful for your projects. Go to, this was my website. And this is something you guys are going to do in the next part of the project. See here I have, you can call the VAPI agent. And if you click on the link, it'll forward you over to that. In my case, I'm on a computer, but if you were on a phone, you could click that and it would put in your dialer and it'd be nice and easy to call. And then you have to put that on the front page and also on the contact page. So this is instead of your own phone number, because say someone wanted to call this agent. Well, if you put your own, it would call you, of course.
and then it's also nice where you show that you're doing the podcast too, Daniel.
Yes.
You want to show them?
So you guys all did a Notebook LM kind of podcast
Yeah.
for your exam, and you picked a chapter. With Notebook LM, you could put a link in there as well. So I initially put the link to this website in there, and I said, this is what the website does. This is the goal of the service. Make a podcast. This is when it first came out. Make a podcast about what this website is so people can understand. So all of you guys will put that in there, kind of like this, and you can just play that on the website itself. The little media player looks kind of nice. ChatGPT just got an update for image generation. This was one of the original versions of DALL-E, but now there is really good image generation built into ChatGPT 4.0. So certainly I would recommend trying that out. It's really good. It's kind of shocking actually how good it is. Probably the best that exists so far. So generating an image for a logo or a cover kind of page or something like that, or literally anything, it works very well. I think it's actually free. Let's see. Oh, yeah, it needs me to log in, so.
Yeah.
Professor, are you there?
Yes, I'm there.
Oh, okay.
The other thing that you may want to see, if you go back to VAPI, I'm just keeping you here in case I'm going to lose. If you go
Sure.
back to VAPI, and they had about the features, go to features, and just you see the features there, and just scroll down, VAPI, flexible, go down, and it talks about AI guard right there. At the end,
Yeah.
you see where it says SOC 2, HIPAA, and PCI compliant. I'd
Yeah.
like everybody to highlight those. And what we need to know is in terms of, it says enterprise level security for even the most regulated healthcare and financial services. This is important for us to know. HIPAA, HIPAA, stands for Health Insurance Portability Act. So that's for healthcare. So the idea, even Zoom, for instance, Zoom has a version that for telehealth at the university, they don't use a regular Zoom Enterprise. They use the HIPAA compliant version. That, what does that mean? That your health information, university, hospital, or any other medical facility can get fined heavily by the government if they don't abide by standards to keep our data secure. PCI compliant stands for pay. You can put that even in payment card industry. That means that is a body that will certify that my credit card data, an entity like a university, keeps our credit card data secure. That means that it's encrypted. It means that it's not just storing all of our credit card information in just a plain text file. That's called PCI compliant. There are companies that are called IT auditors that go around different companies and certify to make sure that they comply with their credit card information. And if you put in SOC2, Daniel, in a Google search,
Of course, I'm a robot.
right? Is it coming up?
Yeah.
Okay, and if we make it a little, what is a SOC? And basically, you can think of it, you can do the first one or the second, whenever looks good to you, in terms of that SOC compliance. But if you think about it, right here, you can stop here. It's developed by the American Institute of CPAs. Those are accounting and finance majors will know that this is important, that SOC 2, which defines a criteria for managing customer data. You remember we talked about data governance? It's based on what they call trust service principles. Do you remember we had that chapter on security of data? It basically is talking about things that is important, that in security, one of the key milestones for security is that availability. Graham, what does availability mean? The data has to be available. Notice, like, what we can say is our data can be so secure that we're not even available to each other. It basically, how do we process the data? And what's important is that we have to have, the data has to have integrity. What does that mean? That we can rely on that data, and we have to have data that has confidentiality, that I just don't spread around, just like the need to know. You remember how Grandma used to say, the need to know? I need to know your grades. Not everyone needs to know your grades in my class. I don't need to know your grades in others. And the idea of privacy. So you can look at this circle. This looks like exactly we talked about access control. How do we access it? Two-factor authentication, encryption. And then under privacy, they have also network application. Does it have firewalls? Does it have is somebody monitoring the processing of the data? Can I assure that there's the quality? You remember we also talked about under availability, we have to basically see monitoring of the performance, just like we're having issues now with the internet, disaster recovery. What does that mean? In case, if my server goes down, what am I going to do in case of a disaster? Remember all the earthquakes? What's going to happen with that? What am I going to do if there's an earthquake? What am I going to do if there's going to be a hurricane? What am I going to do if there's a fire? And security incident handling means what? What processes, if I have a breach, if I have some services going down, there has to be a process. How do I handle those incidents? All of this have very
I think she went down again, but yeah, everything there is certainly important. My understanding of how VAPI does this is they don't store any of the data between you when you call and the LLMs themselves. And generally, when you use the API for LLMs, they don't store data unless they legally have to. And if they do, it's for 30 days and it goes away. So it wouldn't be like, for example, when you guys use ChatGPT, say you even paid for the normal plan, I think it's $20 a month or something like that. That data is now used in training. So it would be a problem if, important data was used for training. But when you use the API or you upgrade to the Teams plan, then that data is not used in training. So I'm not exactly sure if it's them saying we don't store the data and the LLMs might, or if they're saying, well, because we use the API, we don't store the data and the LLMs don't. But certainly on their end, they would be saying that they passed the SOC2 certification. And yeah, obviously this is branding to some extent. I mean, this may not be true. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. This also may not be true. But, if they're lying about something like this, that would be a real problem. And this of course exists within the system. Let's see.
You hear me, Daniel?
Yeah, now we do.
Okay, hopefully this will go on. I appreciate it. But why I wanted to emphasize the SOC and the HIP and the PCI compliant, Daniel, is we have guest speakers coming in next week. And that is, if you can put in a little point here, it's the basic acronym is CISA, Certified Information Systems Auditor. You can put a note there, Daniel. It's called Certified.
There it is.
Yeah, SACA, Certified Systems Auditor. And
did we lose her again? I think we did. Yeah, so CISA is the Certified Information Systems Auditor. I guess it's the standard for auditing, monitoring, assessing IT business systems. You guys will hear a lot more about that from the people from ISACA. And also, I believe they're going to allow you guys to register if you want to get that standard. I'm not sure exactly the details on this one, but they are going to come in next Wednesday for this class. So if that's something you're interested in, that'd probably be a good day to show up. Yeah, there's all these statistics and things like that on improvements that come out of it. Um, yeah. Let's see. Yeah, so it's an exam, kind of like, I guess that makes sense. You know, study materials, pass the exam. Of course, they want people to take the exam. This being a business tech course, it makes sense that there's some crossover. Yeah, that's really all I have on that. You guys have any questions?
Did you just say something about our exam coming up?
No, that's a separate thing. The people from ISC or ISACA are coming in, and they're going to tell you about why their course is so spectacular, and you know why you guys may want to study and take their exam and get their certification.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's separate. You guys have any other questions?
So Daniel, I'm
Yes.
back. So maybe what we should do, because I'm having so many issues here, I'll stop earlier today and
Okay.
I'll stay with people, and then you also can take
Yeah,
off if you can do attendance. And
I
then
can do the
on
attendance. Yeah.
Wednesday, we'll go into the full assignment for next week.
Yeah. And
And
just a reminder before we do the attendance, there is the assignment for VAPI is due Wednesday. If you guys haven't done that already, certainly get on that. And the assignment we're going to give you guys on Wednesday is quite a bit longer, but it's for your group project. And if you split the work up, it will be, actually fairly short for each person. But there's a bunch of deliverables that need to be met there, one of which is VAPI. So after you've done this assignment, you guys are going to pick whichever number you prefer from whoever had the best number. You could consider naming your website after that if you'd like. But then that one person who has the best number will be responsible for the VAPI part. Let me get on that attendance. If you guys have questions
say
about
that
any
you
of the assignments, feel free to stay till the end.
and on the voice, and then on video, each person then will be required, at least each person, to put in a tutorial in your website showing on certain applications
Yeah.
as well.
So you guys all have to pick, you've seen this before, multiple different AI tools for your website. And then each person within the group is responsible for making a video about how that's part of your business, how you're going to offer that, and also kind of a tutorial how to use that service.
So
But
it
that
doesn't be
all
on
is in the assignment.
for Wednesday. Yeah.
Yeah, that's assigned on Wednesday.
Be coming in and out.
Yes.
So we'll use it as class time for answering questions more informally.
So I'll stay until 6 something if anyone has questions, or if not.
Right.
The code is in the
Yeah.
chat. It's 3332.
Yeah, I see a number of times. And my code is coming in and out.
Professor,
Yes.
Dr. Rush, I was wondering if we could set up a time to meet. Sorry, the sun's kind of like in the way. Set up a time to meet to go over my exam. I just want to see what I got wrong and, learn from it.
Sure. Sure.
Okay.
Okay.
When
Yeah,
when would be a good
do
time for
it.
you?
Probably, let's do it, today. Either we can probably next week. Let's do it on Monday, after class.
Okay, that works. Perfect. Thank you so much.
Of course, yeah.
You
I
guys
don't
have a good
think you
night.
made
Bye.
that many mistakes.
I know. I want to,
Yeah. Yeah, it's all good. And to
especially in
be
the
clear,
open-ended
the
section, I just
next
wanted to see like what
exam,
I wrote.
the next exam is not like cumulative. Just like of course it's good to know what you made mistakes on and things like that, but yeah, the next exam starts the chapter after. And then
Oh,
of course
okay.
the articles we've been reading and everything.
Perfect. Will there be like a Quizlet or anything like that?
Uh don't think there will be a Quizlet, but there will be a good study guide.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Keep up the good work, Isa.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Is Tessa still here?
I don't believe so.
Tessa, are you here? Okay,
I'll
so you want to remove
her.
her and let me
Yeah.
stop the recording.